My next guest ran for the U.S. presidency. I think that's enough of an introduction. Dr. Paul, thanks for being with us again.
Nice to be with you.
So, Dr. Paul, I know that, and I'm sure our audience knows that you're one of the harshest critics of the Fed. I think that's been established. But what do you make of Janet Yellen coming in as the next chair?
Well, you know, it's easy to be a critic if you don't even believe they should exist.
Right.
Generally, not a lot will change. If anything, it'll be slightly worse because she's a very aggressive inflator. She really believes in quantitative easing, and that's the only thing they know, and she's just going to be more aggressive about it. I think she wants to try to revive the Phillips curve, believing that if you just get some inflation, we can get these unemployment rates down again. But that's old-fashioned thinking, and I think she's very dangerous. I think she'll be dangerous to the dollar. And she will not revive the economy. I think we've learned that already for the past 4 to 5 years. So she will continue to do the same policies. It's the overall policy. So the individual chairman or chairwoman now is secondary to the whole system. So that's why I talk about the whole monetary system, that you can't expect a whole lot of changes with her.
So you used the word dangerous, and I guess that's my next question is, obviously it's clear that QE will be prolonged now. What effects will that have on the U.S. dollar?
Well, eventually it'll destroy confidence in the dollar. And I would say the confidence has already eroded because without the Fed buying, mortgage debt and buying Treasury bills, where would interest rates be? Where would the economy be? So they're temporarily holding the markets in check by making some people richer on Wall Street and helping out the bankers, but they haven't done anything for the economy. And it's dangerous because people get lulled to sleep and the bubble keeps getting bigger, the distortions, the malinvestment. Everybody looks at only the CPI, but of course the CPI is not an accurate measurement of even prices. So they miss looking at the many other important things, the accumulation of debt and the misdirected investments, the malinvestment. And there's so much of that, and it's gotten worse in the last 5 years. It hasn't solved it. We have not had a correction, and are determined not to allow the market to correct the errors of the monetary officials.
So let me ask you, Dr. Paul, what would have been your solution to QE? Is there an alternative?
Well, we should have never started it. We should have allowed the liquidation of all debt and let the bankruptcies occur, pick up the good pieces, and people would go back to growth again, and it would have been over in about a year or so. They should follow what we did in 1920, 1921, and had a one-year depression, and things came back again. But no, once you start on this, you get locked into it, and people get psychologically attached to, oh, things are looking better, there's going to be money out there, and it gives a positive feeling for the stock market. But all you have to do is hint, oh, you know, maybe next month we're going to only buy $80 billion, and the market might go down a couple hundred points. I mean, it is so fragile. No, they should have never started it, and they should just quit doing it.
So we're at the Metals and Minerals Conference here in San Francisco. Most of the attendees here are interested in commodities, primarily gold. What do you make of the state of gold right now?
Well, people are probably frustrated right now because it had been so much higher and it's down. It may well have seen the bottom as far as I'm concerned, and I think if anybody has a need to hold more of their own gold, probably is a very good time to buy it. And I think that a lot of times, all of us would do it, just because it's normal. So you always look and see the price of gold, and you feel better when the price is up. But you really should be concerned about, do you think you have enough for insurance? And that's the way I look at it. I'm more for making sure that I'm prepared for some really bad times. So do I think I have enough ounces to take care of my needs and my family needs? And then you say, well, no, I think I ought to increase my holdings by 10 or 20%. Well, when it goes 1,800 down to 1,200, I would say, well, that's a pretty good time to start doing that. But I think it will soon be going back up because they cannot print this kind of money and think that it will never be discounted by the dollar price of gold. And I think we're fast approaching that time where it'll turn around.
Well, I guess that's the segue to my next question. We usually speak to Dr. Ron Paul as the politician or former politician, but let's try and tap into your mind frame as an investor. So if I were to give you $10,000, but how would you divide that ideally as an investor?
Well, $10,000 isn't enough for me to think a lot about it, because I like things that I can see and touch and use, and that means my insurance is in precious metals, and if I have other sums, I always thought property was a very good thing too. And I've had rental properties where I see income, and over a period of time, even properties are like gold; they can go up. Then you have recessions and prices of houses go down and distort it. But if you buy property and they have some income, whether they go up or down probably doesn't matter that much. Houses and things right now, because of the circumstances, actually rentals have gone up very well. So I like real estate, and I like precious metals for the safety and security, and that's generally where I've been. It's easier for me to say how I wouldn't spend my $10,000 or my $100,000, and I wouldn't be in the stock market.
I was going to ask you that. What would you avoid today?
I would avoid it, and I guess I wouldn't buy government bonds either. No matter whether they have confidence in the dollar still, and their confidence in our currency. Our currency is weak, but it hasn't tumbled in the last year. But I wouldn't want to hold my extra money in dollars or in government debt. That's just looking for trouble.
What's the best investment advice you've ever received?
Not to overplay the speculation, not speculation, but anticipating. Like today, if I had the money to buy some gold, and I say, well, next week it's going to be a lot lower, then I'll buy it. But next week it might be a lot higher, is not to pretend I can predict those short-term swings. So I look at more what I need to do. I might price average and buy something this week and buy something next week. But I think it's this whole idea that the traders can do this. People are capable of doing this if they're in the market, and they can buy and sell and trade all the time. But for me, I just don't pretend that I can do that. So if I think it's a good investment, and I did this when I got interested in gold, because I got fascinated with gold in 1971, and the price was a little lower back then. But I was convinced in the 60s that the Bretton Woods would break down. Legally, we weren't allowed to buy gold, but I could buy some Mexican coins. So I just started buying when I had extra cash. And that's taken care of things pretty well for me. But gold did this all the time in those 30-something years, up and down, and lose 50% at times. But if you're holding your coins, you don't worry about it.
Is there something from your political platform that you would like to see Rand Paul carry forward? What would it be?
Legalize freedom, just across the board. That's a big issue. But that's an educational thing of teaching a lot of people what the role of government ought to be. So there's no one thing. See, the monetary policy is very important. The Fed's very important. But the most important reason is that it facilitates big government. And big government serves the big, powerful special interest, whether it's in the foreign policy, or whether it's in domestic policy, or corporate welfare and bailing out the wrong people. So it's all important. But the big issue is, are we a freer society today than we were 100 years ago? I say we are a lot less free today. It's going to get a lot worse unless we have a lot more people wake up and decide that first you defend your liberties, the prosperity will come automatically after that.
Dr. Paul, thank you so much for your time today, and happy Thanksgiving.
You're welcome. Thank you.